From simple reskins to cards being completely replaced with something new, here are 15 Clash Royale changes. The heal spell was a simple rare card back in the day, letting you drop a circle on the arena and restore health to your troops within that circle, just like the spell from Clash of Clans. But in 2020, Supercell decided it wasn't fun or useful enough as a spell, so they completely reworked it into the Heal Spirit, a troop that jumps into enemies, deals damage, and then heals friendly units nearby. It's one of the few times a card has been fully removed and replaced with something new, but a lot of players actually really loved the change, since the Heal Spirit is considered to require more skill to use successfully than the heal spell, while also being more powerful when used correctly. If you've been playing Clash Royale for a while, you might remember that your crown towers used to be defended by basic archers. That all changed when the Tower Princess was introduced, replacing the archer entirely and giving towers a new look and a stronger defensive identity. This was one of the biggest cosmetic changes to the core gameplay everyone sees every match, and it opened the door for Supercell to add even more tower troops later, like the Cannoneer and Royal Chef. The Furnace has gone through plenty of balance changes over the years, but nothing as big as when it was recently reworked into a troop instead of just a building. Instead of sitting passively in one spot like the Goblin Hut, the Furnace became a moving card with troop stats, making it feel like an entirely new unit rather than the old spawner. To make things even more exciting, the Furnace was also given its own evolution the same season, but players weren't very impressed by this since all it does is spawn fire spirits faster than the normal version as far as we can tell, so that wasn't the best. While many players disliked the change and want the old Furnace back, many others were happy to see the old Furnace removed and think it's more versatile and fun to use in its new troop form. Ever since Clash Royale was released in 2016, players asked Supercell to add clan wars like how Clash of Clans had them. Supercell eventually did this and players were very happy to say the least. But the system was eventually removed and replaced with Clan Wars 2, which completely changed how Clan Wars worked. Instead of boat battles and the old system of card collection, the rework created new mechanics, progression rules, and rewards, redefining how clan competition worked for years. To be honest, most people don't like the new Clan Wars, and I personally don't really ever attack in war, as I don't find it very fun or rewarding. But hey, maybe they'll make Clan Wars 3 and it'll be better. Another feature that has undergone many changes over the years is the Season Shop. To be more precise, Supercell has never seemed to be able to decide on a set system for in-game currency in the game, with them adding and sometimes removing things like star points, season tokens, banner tokens, wild cards, elite wild cards, and more. Every time the current Clash Royale economy system gets too confusing, Supercell ends up reworking or changing things to try and simplify it, but it seems like only a matter of time until they just uproot it all and start with something fresh again. One big example of this was when the Season Shop was added in 2023, which replaced older systems of obtaining rewards with a rotating shop that refreshed each season, giving players more flexibility in how they spend their tokens. It turned seasonal rewards into something customizable instead of fixed, and a lot of players liked it, aside from the seemingly unnecessary addition of a new currency called season tokens that weren't super easy to understand for some. All that being said, the Season Shop only lasted for about 2 years before being removed just a couple of months ago. The Deck Builder tool was a feature that allowed players to more easily test, copy, and build decks. Specifically, the Deck Builder tool allowed players to add one or more cards to a deck, and then click on this icon in the deck tab, which would then show popular decks using that card or cards. This feature was super useful, but I guess Supercell decided not enough people used it, since they ended up quietly deleting it in 2024. This left many players wishing it would return, since it was one of the more helpful tools for experimenting with strategies, but it doesn't look like we'll ever be getting that feature back at the moment. At launch, the Skeletons card spawned 4 skeletons for 1 elixir. This made Larry one of the most popular cards in the game, since the 4 skeletons provided a ton of distracting and cycling value all in one card. Over time though, Supercell realized that they should probably remove one of the skeletons to keep the card more balanced, and so that's what they eventually did in 2017, less than a year after the game's release. Interestingly enough, when the evolved skeletons came out in 2023, the 4th Larry was back, and this helped make the evolution a bit stronger than it would have been with 3. But as with all good things in this game apparently, Supercell removed the 4th skeleton nearly a year ago, leaving both the normal and evolved skeletons at only 3 units. The cannon cart was added to the game with a shield mechanic like the Dark Prince, where once the shield was broken, it would transform into a stationary cannon. This was reworked years later into a single health pool, meaning it no longer functioned like a 2-phase card. This seems like a pretty pointless change at first, but it means that the cannon cart will now be completely destroyed by cards like the rocket, rather than having the shield soak up the hit and then still living on as a building. This change actually drastically altered the way that players have both used and countered the card ever since. Profile pages within Clash Royale were always kind of an eyesore since the game's release in 2016. There was really no customizability, no clear design, and a lack of any distinction or flashy visuals. That all changed in 2023 when Supercell completely overhauled how you show off your account by adding badges, banners, and other profile revamps to the game, replacing the old bare-bones profile page with something much more customizable and unique. This change gave players new ways to flex achievements, card preferences, personality, and more, and overall made the game look and feel much better to play. Something newer players may not realize is that we didn't always have these high-quality quality card renders on the card information screens. The card info screens used to just display the basic stats, a short description of the card, and an image of the card itself, not the troop or spell that it represented. That all changed when in April of 2022, Supercell added the first batch of these polished 3D renders of each troop or spell to the card info screens. When Supercell updated them to feature card renders, it completely changed how players saw the details of each card, making the collection feel much more alive and helping the game to feel more premium and well crafted in general. The Path of Legends was introduced in 2022 as a competitive ladder separate from Trophy Road, but this feature is actually one of those that has been added, adjusted, and even removed at different times throughout the game's history. The feature was overall pretty good and functioned as it should have, with there being many different ranks to reach within the ladder, and after achieving the top rank, players could simply push for the highest possible trophies they could achieve. For whatever reason though, Supercell decided a few months ago to remove this feature altogether without warning and replace this system by just adding more arenas to Trophy Road and adding a ranked system that only unlocks each season after reaching 15,000 trophies. Let me know in the comments if you like this system better or if they should have kept Path of Legends in the game. The mirror card has always been a unique and often fun card to use in the game, but for a short time it was actually overpowered in a very strange way. Instead of leveling up a card by 1 level, Supercell made a change a few years back to where the mirror would actually upgrade your card's level by 2. This meant that max level cards, level 14 at the time, would be played as level 16 with the mirror, or for context, the equivalent of a level 17 card today. This was a lot of fun, but as you can imagine, those super high level cards were maybe just a bit too powerful. As a result, the mirror was eventually nerfed back to just 1 level, but for a brief period, mirror created some seriously crazy interactions in games. Originally, each rarity in the game had different maximum levels, with all rarities starting at level 1 and the higher rarities maxing out at lower and lower levels as you went up in rarity. This was confusing for players since it wasn't very intuitive to compare card levels across rarities and judge how good or impressive a certain card level was. As a result, Supercell reworked the entire system so that level 13 became the max for all cards at the time, no matter the rarity. This was a welcome change as it made it more clear that higher rarity cards were unlocked at a point where they were already viable to use in games instead of at the weak state of a level 1 common card. This change overall simplified progression and made the game feel more consistent as a whole. Another big change in Clash Royale was the removal of the trophy reset above 5,000 trophies. In the past, at the end of each season, you would lose a portion of your trophies if you were above 5,000 when the season finished. Players didn't like this because it felt like there was no long-term progress in the game and you would always just be reset after pushing all season. When Supercell got rid of this feature, high-level players could finally push their records without worrying about losing so much progress each month, which helped the game out a lot. Interestingly, with the re-addition of trophy resets in the last month or two, this same problem has sort of been reintroduced. Another crazy and impactful change was when Supercell made the Rage spell deal damage in 2024. The Rage spell used to simply increase troop speed, attack speed, and damage, but now the spell would actually do damage itself, killing very weak troops like skeletons instantly. This change was especially crazy since it affected the Lumberjack's Rage too, effectively granting him a major buff since he could now kill or damage nearby troops on death with no real downside. To make things even crazier, when the evolved Lumberjack was added last year, there was an oversight where the Lumberjack Ghost could survive in any Rage spell, not just the Lumberjack's Rage. So as you can imagine, players quickly rushed to build ultra cheap cycle decks so that they could just get a Lumberjack Ghost on the screen and then keep him alive indefinitely by spamming Rage and mirrored Rage spells on top. This strategy was impossible to defend and led to some funny, albeit frustrating games. Luckily, this has since been fixed and all is now right with the world. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and ringing that notification bell so that you never miss another upload. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.